Hi, everyone, I'm Dan Abrams, and this is Court Cam.
Call the buzz, we're calling.
Take him back! Take him out!
You die in prison as well.
Quit it!
You want me to hit you again?
Lay the down!
You want me to hit you again?
First up, we go to Houston, Texas, for the trial of Terry Thompson. He's been charged with murder in the death of 24-year-old John Hernandez. The incident occurred at this restaurant when an intoxicated Hernandez, who's here with his wife, stepped outside the diner. That's when Thompson pulled up with his daughters and allegedly saw Hernandez urinating in the parking lot. Some words were exchanged, and according to Thompson, Hernandez threw a punch. In this footage, you can see Thompson in the red shirt wrestle Hernandez to the ground. He then puts Hernandez in a chokehold and gets on top of him. Meanwhile, Thompson's wife, Shauna, an off-duty sheriff's deputy, arrives at the scene.
Quit it! Lay the down!
You want me to hit you again?
Stop it!
There's Shauna holding Hernandez's arm down. But the much larger Thompson has Hernandez pinned to the ground. A woman attempts to record the incident, but bystanders block her view while the struggle continues in the background.
No, stop! Why are you recording? Just stop! It's illegal to record! Just stop!
Thompson and his wife eventually let him up. But by then, Hernandez was unconscious. Realizing how serious the situation had become, Shauna began to administer CPR on Hernandez. Paramedics arrived and took him to the hospital. 3 days later, Hernandez died from his injuries. Both Thompson and his wife were charged with murder and pled not guilty. The trial of Terry Thompson ended in a hung jury, as 11 of the 12 jurors voted not guilty. But since it was a hung jury, the state tried him a second time. This time, the prosecution adds new witnesses and digs into Thompson's past, claiming he was a violent man with a hot temper who had a history of assaulting his own children. They also showed footage of the incident in court, arguing Thompson used excessive force and had a defenseless Hernandez in a chokehold for over 3 minutes.
At the moment, 24-year-old John Hernandez gives up. At the moment, and you continue, it's certainly not self-defense. And it's murder.
Meanwhile, Thompson's attorney argued it was self-defense, and that Hernandez, who was drunk the night of the incident, was the true aggressor, and that according to his own wife, couldn't handle his alcohol.
He's a mean drunk. He's a loudmouth. He's an ass. Those are her words, not mine.
After hearing and seeing all the evidence presented, the jury returned with a verdict.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Terry Brian Thompson, guilty of murder.
Before he learns his sentence, which could be anywhere from 2 years to life, Hernandez's wife shows Thompson some sympathy.
You repent for what you did. I will forgive you. Because there's nothing I can do. There's nothing else to say.
Now the terms of Thompson's sentence are read by Judge Kelly Johnson.
Assess his punishment at confinement, institutional division at the Texas Department of Criminal Justice for 25 years.
Thompson was sentenced to 25 years in a Texas prison and won't be eligible for parole until the year 2031, when he'll be 55 years old. Thompson did file an appeal with the state, but it was denied. As for his wife, Shauna, she was fired from the sheriff's office, but the murder charge against her was dropped, as the prosecution believed they did not have sufficient evidence to convict. Next, we're in Miami, Florida, for a bond hearing with Judge Mindy Glazer presiding. Appearing before her in a suicide prevention smock is 23-year-old Karina Corbalon, a self-proclaimed Instagram model. Her alleged crime? Murder. One day earlier, Corbalon reportedly showed up at ex-boyfriend Alejandro Sanchez's house following an argument and fired 15 shots at him from a semi-automatic handgun as he stood outside his home. 3 of the bullets struck Sanchez in the back. He was rushed to the hospital, but later died from his injuries. Now the judge reads the charges against Corbalán.
You were arrested for 1 count of second-degree murder.
Neighbors confirmed that Corbalán and Sanchez were no longer together at the time of the shooting. Looking at the evidence before her, Glazer then makes a quick bond ruling.
There's probable cause for the charge of second-degree murder. It's no bond. Good day, ma'am.
But before the defendant is dismissed, Judge Glazer notices a woman clearly in distress in her courtroom.
Do any of you care to say anything?
Pray for that. She took his life. He was 20 years old.
The victim's family's in court and they're very upset.
She took my son's life.
So, ma'am, what's going to happen is there's going to be an arraignment in 21 days and the state will decide what the appropriate charges are to file.
As the victim's mother mourns the loss of her son, the defendant remains emotionless.
Everybody here is presumed not guilty. I know how you feel. I mean, I don't know how you feel, but I'm sorry for your loss.
No, you don't know.
I don't know. And
she shot him in his back. She shot him and killed him.
So the state will make a decision on the appropriate charges to file, and then this has to play its way out through the court system. And she's entitled to have a trial and be treated a fair trial. And it's up for a jury to make the decision at a later date.
Yes.
I'm very sorry for your loss.
And before the hearing ends, Sanchez's mother makes it clear she'll be there until the end to get justice for her son.
I want to be involved in everything because I want to see her pay for what she did to my family.
Karina Corbalán is currently awaiting trial for the charge of second-degree murder. Next, we take you to Clark County, Nevada.
Let me go.
This is 36-year-old Latasha Williams. She's charged with kidnapping and child endangerment following allegations she threatened 2 children at an apartment complex. She's in court for a mental health hearing to determine if she's fit for trial.
3 different opinions. Dr. Joseph White said that I was bipolar. Dr. Sussman said that I was competent to stand trial. And Dr. Bradley doesn't like me. So she did.
He's remanded into custody.
All right.
But after seeing 3 different doctors, one of whom she didn't get along with, Judge Jackie Glass has her remanded into custody and wants her to see yet another one.
And I have an appointment.
Somebody else to do other than Bradley, to do the evaluation.
And how long will it take?
What do you think? 2 weeks?
Judge Glass is ready to move on, but Williams is not.
No, hold on a second. I'm not done talking.
And as officers try and take her in, she resists.
I got kids and let me go. I got kids and responsibilities. Y'all, let me go. No, let me go. Let me go.
3 officers are unable to contain Williams, who's cuffed and continues to fight.
Let me go. Let me go. Let me go. Let me go.
Without the use of her arms, Williams uses her legs and seemingly tries to put one officer in a scissor hold.
Let me go.
Watch as both of her shoes go flying.
Let me go.
A 4th officer comes over to his home.
Quit resisting. Come on, resist.
But Williams has no intention of going quietly.
Enough of you guys abusing me and throwing me in jail like I'm a animal. I got kids and responsibility. I don't have time for this trial. They're trying to accuse me of something I didn't do.
Calm down.
I've had 3 evaluations. That should be enough to satisfy the court's arguments. Tired of these trifling judges.
Williams is finally restrained, but not before one officer suffers a cut to his face, as well as a knee injury. Williams is still frustrated as she's removed from the court.
She knows I've seen 3 psychologists, but that doesn't count. Sorry, bitch.
Later, Williams makes a deal with the state. Kidnapping and child endangerment charges are dropped, but she pleads guilty to disorderly conduct and serves 25 days in jail. She also agrees to take impulse control counseling.
I have very rarely in my life looked into the eyes of a monster.
We're in Lockport, New York for the sentencing hearing of Anthony Allen. 19-year-old was found guilty of multiple crimes, including the second-degree murder of Renee Greco, a counselor at the group home for troubled youth where he lived. Allen and another resident of the home, Robert Thousand, allegedly blindsided Greco by throwing a blanket over her head before bludgeoning her to death with a wooden chair leg. They then stole money from the office of the group home and a van before being arrested. When given the chance to speak, rather than taking any responsibility for the heinous crime, Allen goes on the offensive, attacking the judge, Sarah Speraza.
You disgrace the title honorable, and you don't deserve to have it in front of your name.
Allen and his defense team claim the judge made a critical error that led to his conviction when she allowed the prosecution to change the wording of the indictment during trial. The original indictment stated Allen and co-defendant Robert Thousand were the only two involved in the murder, while the amended version added the words, or others. The defense argued that change meant anyone present at the time could have been the one who actually killed Renee Greco, making the state's burden of proof that much easier to convict Allen.
Judge Speraza changed the wording of the indictment with the hopes that her influence as a judge and her intimidation as an authority figure would do the trick and persuade the jury into convicting me. But in all reality, to any observant person, she made herself look unprofessional and desperate. I am pretty sure you have been waiting to be able to hold someone responsible since day one, but the fact of the matter is that I'm not responsible for the death of Renee.
Everyone was terrified of him. I have very rarely in my life looked into the eyes of a monster. And from the first moment I saw Mr. Allen, he's one of the three.
Judge Speraza's dark assessment is echoed in the lengthy punishment she hands down to Anthony Allen, 25 years to life. Allen's co-defendant, Robert Thousand, who testified against him, pleaded guilty to first-degree manslaughter for bludgeoning Renee Greco and was sentenced to 20 years in prison.
Ricardo Baron Reyes.
Next, we take you to bond court in Florida's Broward County. Judge John Hurley presiding. The defendant is Ricardo Reyes, a non-English speaker who's here on a trespassing charge. An officer presses the microphone button to allow communication between the judge and defendant.
Baron Reyes.
Right away, Reyes goes for the button.
Good. Don't touch that, sir. Sir, don't touch that.
Hey, don't touch it. Don't toque. What? Don't touch it. No toque, no lo toque.
Maybe you... Oh, there he goes again.
Reyes doesn't appear to be getting the message.
Don't touch it. Don't touch it.
Okay, good. Bueno. Sir, you're here for trespassing.
Está aquí por un acceso ilegal.
Oh, there he goes. Please don't touch the microphone.
Por favor.
There. Okay.
Finally, Reyes complies, but Judge Hurley takes a final peek before he begins.
Would you like to resolve your case today? Go home today. You could leave today.
Usted podría irse a su casa hoy. Se puede ir hoy. ¿Quiere resolverlo? Of course, yes.
Do you plead guilty?
¿Se declara culpable? No.
No, we're going to send this Judge Lerner around.
By now, Judge Hurley's more frustrated than amused and decides to send him to a different judge before wrapping up.
Thank you, sir.
Gracias, señor.
Have a nice day.
Que tenga buen día.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Oh, he's going at it again. There he goes.
But wait, this isn't over. Reyes is free to leave, but he apparently doesn't want freedom. He wants that button.
Oh, boy. I think he's having a good time. I mean, it does look like he's in distress. Oh, he's taking it with him.
Oh, boy.
Let go of the lectern. No! No, he's back. Oh. No, sir. You have to leave the... Tell him to leave...
Váyase, señor. Váyase.
Sir, leave the lectern alone.
It looks like Reyes is finally done for the day.
Oh, Lord. Well, I guess there's a first for everything.
But wait, it can't be.
Oh, here he comes. He's back.
The hand's there. The hand.
defendants removed and sent to another judge. Reyes eventually pled guilty, paid a fine of $293, and served no jail time.
If he comes back for another curtain call, I'm going to get the same sweet.
Can't take away my rights, period, anyways. My rights are inalienable, sir.
Next, we're in Phoenix, Arizona, where Michael Crane, a self-identified sovereign citizen, has requested to change his plea from not guilty to guilty for just a few of the many charges hanging over his head. The 38-year-old's facing 3 counts of first-degree murder in a separate case for allegedly shooting 3 people to death inside their homes during 2 separate robberies. But today, he's pleading guilty to lesser charges of burglary, theft, and weapons misconduct in 2 cases unrelated to the alleged murders.
Mr. Crane, is my understanding you wish to change your plea?
I've already told you that I'm willing to accept responsibility for all these charges. So that is what I'm telling you right now.
You're giving up your right to a jury trial where you'll be represented by a lawyer. Do you understand that?
I understand that, but I don't agree with that.
You're giving up your right to cross-examine or question any witness the state called. Do you understand that?
I understand that, but I don't agree with that.
To say Crane doesn't agree with the legal process is an understatement.
You understand that if you plead guilty, you're giving up constitutional rights.
Which U.S. are we talking? We're talking about the federal constitution of the District of Columbia, that U.S. Constitution, or are we talking about the states of the Union, common law constitution?
For nearly an hour, Crane spouts more sovereign law ideology.
I ask you again, are we working under admiralty law, under statutory jurisdiction? Let the record show that Mr. Crane is a sovereign man born in the states of the Union rights. If you're calling me a person or a domicile or an agent of the District of Columbia, sure, you can take away my rights, but I am neither of those.
Finally, he does enter a guilty plea, which, if you can remember, was the whole purpose of the hearing.
It's a choice to trial or a choice for me to accept your plea. Given that choice, which would you prefer?
The choice to accept the plea only under my conditions.
And just when it looks like the hearing was going to end, it doesn't.
I'm not going to sign a contract that's going to send me to prison. Not voluntarily.
Crane argues he won't sign any legal paperwork to make his guilty plea official.
Are you saying that because this is what this comes down to at the end of the day?
Yes.
Wow, okay. Thank you. That's all I wanted to hear.
Ultimately, Michael Crane would affirm his guilty plea for the charges of burglary, theft, and weapons misconduct. But before he's sentenced for those charges, Crane pleaded guilty to numerous other crimes, including the 3 counts of murder. That plea came as part of an agreement with the prosecution, where they took the death penalty off the table. He was later sentenced to 3 consecutive life terms in prison. That's it for this edition of Court Cam. I'm Dan Abrams. Thanks for watching.